Well, guess we're going back to Elysia for a bit. It may not really be a surprise, but it's certainly a disappointment. We just need to get to the cockpit and fly over to the planet. Since we're loading from when I saved at the ship, why don't we have the option to enter the cockpit instead of exiting the ship just to get right back in? It's not a major issue, but it's still kind of annoying. Just gonna land on the far left and hope that's close to where we need to be. The less time we're on that planet, the better in my opinion. Granted, my opinion is that planet is a pile of garbage no matter where you land, but it's my opinion nonetheless, so it feels like something worth mentioning here. Also worth mentioning, I kinda wish there was some sense the pirates wanted to shoot down Samus's ship as she moves to and from their supposed homeworld. We can just enter and leave it, way too casually considering it's supposed to be the enemy's fortress. Hell, remember the anti-air guns they had on Brio? Why don't we have to worry about that sort of thing on the pirate homeworld? Their defenses should be pretty tight there compared to everything else. After all, it's supposed to be their damn homeworld, where they most definitely would want to prevent anyone from causing any kind of chaos whatsoever. They are the ones who bring chaos to the rest of the galaxy, after all. It wouldn't do for them to leave themselves vulnerable when they make a living off striking the vulnerable. At the very least, it would be embarrassing. Speaking of embarrassing, for some reason the game wants to remind us of the place we need to go in order to gain the anti-acid shielding, when the Aurora unit made it clear the next major thing we have to grab is back on Elysia. Seriously, make up your bloody minds, where do you want us? Probably should have taken a closer look before trying to swing across, but to be fair, it's not like dropping into the abyss around here is all that much of a punishment. We literally grabbed more health than we lost there, and we didn't even have to do anything. In some ways, it's hard to believe that we're 28 clips into this game. Sure, the game is doing various things to slowly amp up the difficulty as we push closer and closer to the ending. And to be fair, the first Metroid Prime had the problem where the difficulty barely raised as we dealt with boss after boss and area after area. It only really started to amp things up when we got to Ridley and the final boss, the Prime Metroid on the planet, that would later become Dark Samus. With maybe the face-on column thing, you could say things got more difficult again, but that felt like the boss was tough due to bad design, not because of a purposeful difficulty spike. Metroid Prime 2 did a better job of having an increase of difficulty as you went forward in the game. The overall difficulty curve was very solid. Unfortunately, it's tainted by some of the boss design being absolutely obscenely tough and unforgiving. Whereas this game is tainted by the motion controls and them simplifying so much to work around that. And plenty of people would say that the motion controls were not a bad decision for this game. But that's enough talk about that for now. I feel like I've talked about a good number of times over the course of this game. Hold on, gonna try to think of something fresh to talk about as we run through some very familiar territory in the search for a random upgrade we might need later. At the very least, I'm sure we're getting closer. really don't get why Gandreda transformed into a small swarm of bats. I don't think any of the games have treated those as in any way particularly dangerous. They're just something extra to aim at that can look kind of pretty as they set themselves up for the kill. Really feels like we should take some measure of damage when we launch ourselves from a cannon. We've certainly got more than enough health that something like that happening wouldn't really be an issue, and it would help sell just the velocity we were sent out at. How many times have we gone through that specific grind section? How many more times until I just plain don't ever have to see it again? And now, for the best question. If I really hate Alicia so much, why the hell am I not fast-forwarding? I certainly didn't hesitate to fast-forward a good amount in the previous two Metroid Prime games, and I enjoyed those. Possibly because the level design felt more complicated, we traveled through the same very recognizable places over and over, trying to find a way to make it forward. But in this game, it's pretty remarkably rare for us to travel through the same ground over and over and over again. So despite the fact that the terrain got tiring to look at in a hurry for me on Alicia, the proverbial obstacle course we're running through still feels kind of fresh, despite us being this far into the game. That is certainly quite the accomplishment. I know we already jumped on all those floating platforms, but somehow part of my brain is saying, this is new. And why have I completely forgotten that the only way to hurt those phazon orb things is to go on hyper mode? I'm sorry, how was that an achievement? That felt like an encounter against an annoying but still not really all that special enemy. And just why is it that I wish I could turn off those little achievement notifications in this game? It's not like Nintendo does a whole lot of achievements. Certainly not to the same degree as games on the PlayStations or Xboxes do. I mean, sure, it's a good way to know if us scanning something is important, but still, I like to go through games without any kind of pop-ups that tell us, oh, you're getting close to an accomplishment for this particular achievement. And once I'm done with a playthrough, at best, I will do a quick look at the achievements that I went through and go, okay, so I got such and such a percentage of them with a regular playthrough run. That's nice. I probably asked this before, but isn't the Aurora in charge of the bots around here now? Why are they still hostile to us? Not that they're in any way a threat to us, but still it's a bit annoying, and I probably wouldn't be so annoyed if it wasn't for what we supposedly learned in the lore entries on this planet, that those robots are supposed to be semi-sentient in their own right. So we have to push our energy into this gate thing for some reason, so we can both give and take energy with a grapple beam now. Again, that didn't really feel like too much of a thing for Gandreda when we fought her. Why is it that Gore and Rundis gave us things that feel like they made some sense for those characters, and Gandreda just feels like it was kind of slapped on? I know, I've asked that before in this LP. It feels worth asking again, though, because, yeesh, they just really feels like they didn't know what to really do with her. Should I ask why some sections of the grinding rail broke just as we arrived? It's not like it's much of an inconvenience since we've got the screw attack to jump obscene distances, but still. Okay, green force field. That's certainly something new. I suppose I should have scanned it, but then we already know the solution to it. I can accept hitting multiple targets at once to unlock something, but what does shooting something with missiles have to do with granting a device power? Hell, why am I bothering to ask about that when we've used bombs to activate things for quite some time in numerous games? Sometimes I just have to sit back and wonder why some things feel acceptable to me and some don't. Just kind of feels arbitrary on my part, not the game's. First we read the lore in the room, then we start trying to figure out how to get things running in here. Though I somehow doubt the lore is going to feel all that interesting to me. I don't suppose we're ever going to run into the friendly machines in this place, are we? Sorry to have to tell you this, buddy, but I don't think you're the kind of guy that's gonna make it to the sequel. And much like with the lizard people on Brio, I wish I could find it in me to give a shit. There are interesting aspects to the lore entries we've read over the course of the game, but none of it really feels all that relevant or helpful to what we've been doing in the game outside of maybe mentioning how this planet got to whatever condition it was in when we first landed on the planet. So the way things are being told to us, it just doesn't actually seem in any way important to what Samus is doing or what's driving her, or gives us new motives to try to save these planets. We have already done everything we can for Elysia. Hell, we already destroyed the seed and killed Gore. Anything else we do on this planet isn't gonna make it any more livable. While there are still things to grab, we are effectively done. Right, there's our upgrade. I'm sure it has something to do with Morph Ball form. Ah, the Spider Ball. That's certainly very much appreciated and will certainly open quite a few paths for us. Though I somehow doubt I'm gonna remember them all. I suppose the pit that's opening up will let us test out our new Spider Ball upgrade. Well, it's not like we've got a lot of other ways forward at the moment, other than just head back to the Space Pirate Homeworld. Have I mentioned that the Space Pirate Homeworld doesn't feel as grand or as well defended as it should, considering how important the pirates have been for most of the Metroid franchise here? Hell, it's barely treated as more important than Brio and Elysia, two planets that are completely throwaway. Why didn't they bother giving the pirate homeworld a name that the pirates refer to it as? Something to help give the location some more weight to it, instead of just being treated like another stepping stone on the way to wherever we're gonna have to fight Dark Samus. Since this feels like the end of the path, let's go back down just for the sake of checking if there's anything to grab down there. Okay. Gained some health back. That's certainly worth something. I was kinda hoping to find an upgrade, though. Ah, well, time to climb back up. It's not like we've got any other paths at the moment. Oh, it's definitely less annoying to have to pull this trick off in this game than it was in Metroid Prime 2. It's hard to complain about that kind of simplification. Right. From here, it should be easy to retrace our steps to get back to the ship and leave the planet again. Or go to a nearer landing pad, call our ship, and then leave. Either way, I'm not that likely to go out of my way to check where all the various little upgrades we could gain with the spider ball are on this planet. I already feel pretty overpowered considering when we are in the game. Sure, I'll go after some things that happen to be in our path, but I'm going to stay on this planet longer for the sake of trying to grab absolutely everything on it. This is certainly a long path, that's for sure. It almost makes me wish we were able to move through it faster, if only for the sake of making it feel more like a roller coaster. It certainly took less effort than I thought it would to get that energy tank. Again, we just have so many energy tanks at this point that it's hard to feel threatened by the vast majority of enemies in this game. When was the last boss I felt like we could actually die against in this game anyway? And just how far does this spider ball track go? It's not like we strictly needed it to get from point A to point B. The screw attack is pretty damn good at getting us across these chasms. Okay, so not long after I was starting to bitch about the spider ball track being obscenely long, we reached the end. I guess I withdraw the complaint. Okay, go right and we should have a way to get to the ship in a hurry. Assuming, of course, that I read the map right. Yeah, there's our way across. Time to say goodbye to Elysia again. Anyone want to bet just how long until we come back here again? Sure. We haven't had any reason to go back to Brio just yet, but, bloody hell, we've been on Elysia for quite a long time.
Samus, this is Admiral Dane. I've ordered the Federation fleet to walk to the pirate homeworld and begin the invasion.
I'm sure the invasion won't actually start until we get things done on the planet for you. Still, I hope that the fighting the Federation does this time feels more meaningful than back on Norian. By the way, just because the Federation has been sitting on its ass for no apparent reason doesn't mean we haven't been taking the fight to the pirates since the moment Samus woke up from the bullshit coma after the battle on Norian. I'm not too sure just how much of an effect on the overall war machine of the pirates that it was to kick them off of Brio and Elysia. But even as empty as it felt, it was still some anti-pirate work, whereas the Federation left their port and haven't contributed anywhere for most of the game despite winning that opening battle. Sorry if it sounds like I come across as a bit harsh here, Admiral. I've gone through a good number of wars over the years, and the Federation hasn't done anything to make me especially respectful of it just yet. And I doubt I will, considering some of the other Nintendo properties I've seen that try to pull off larger scale wars.